Well, let's give this a whirl. Fair West Workday on July 10th, even though it's now just passed into the 11th. Pina colada. Good. So, reflecting on today as a day of work in Fair West. So a 10-year-old at one point, later in the day, over at Zia Park, was playing with the dog and asking me, "What do you do for work?" So that's one of those questions where I'm like, it's a little hard to say these days. So I told her a bit about what I did today that I think of as work. Talked to a couple of people in Fox Park who their dog played with mine, and then we kind of got into a conversation. Turns out they've got nowhere that they're staying, they're homeless, and don't really have too much of a plan. I talked more to the young man. It was a couple. He was about 20. And so for the 10-year-old, I gave her the abbreviated version. I said, sometimes I talk to people who are homeless and don't know what sort of resources are around. And I think that's true. I went into a fair bit of that with the people in the park, taking into account their situation, being a couple, having a dog, thinking of what are some places that could potentially be of interest to them in the local area within really walking distance. So that's some of the local knowledge I try and bring to it. Also just reaching out to people who are a little bit more socially isolated, which doubles as not having me be all that isolated, which is a good thing. But checking in with mostly nearby neighbors who, it's great to spend time together, and we also do some chores here and there. Little aging in place support, even though it's not kind of billed that way, in a very friendly, casual manner. Just doing sort of like general outreach, like kind of, oh, excuse me, I talked to just so many people in the neighborhood today. Neighbors who I know, who I haven't seen for a little bit, neighbors who I see pretty regularly, people in the park, people in the surrounding areas, surrounding parks. I just have a lot of presence on foot on the street. Outreach, not necessarily only to the unhoused population, but just in general, like fused throughout the day. Probably spent today in a dedicated fashion 5 to 6 hours on those endeavors. So pretty happy that 10-year-old was asking me question after question after question. Let's see. Also, once I've got into, they would say, "Well, what do you do with these people? What do you do?" I talk. And what do you talk about? Well, I talk about, and then I got more and more specific. She forced me to be specific. And those were the scenarios I just went through. And not once was there a focus on money, which helps, because a lot of times I think when speaking to other adults, there's the inevitable question of money. I didn't get that with this kid. And that's nice, because I operate as if money is not important. And so sometimes it's liberating to keep it out of the conversation. And then it forces me to be like, shit, I do have to think about money. So that brings me to the city of Albuquerque, maybe it's Bernalillo County, using a portion, about $4 million I read, of opioid settlement money to fund small and medium-sized businesses that are doing work that is of benefit to the community, specifically with regards to like behavioral health, mental health, and a lot of the fallout that is associated with substance abuse. So I do some of that in a bunch of different ways. So I need to look more into their requirements as to how to get some funding. because I need to get some funding, and that forces me to think about, well, how many hours can I dedicate to this? What does it look like to dedicate hours? How do I document it? What kind of metrics or evidence or material do I need to generate to show that this money is spent well and is doing good things? How much money would I even be asking for? I mean, personally, I think just for myself, ultimately, I'd like to make at least 40 grand a year doing this, and that would be the low end of me being able to make this financially sustainable over the longer term. Also, depending on like whether I can afford health insurance through this company, I would like to employ other people as well, and so I can't have my salary get too high, because I don't really believe that one person should make all that much more. I want to be able to stay pretty close to what I'll be paying employees. And so, got to keep things scalable in that fashion. And maybe there's a lot of part-time work in there too. Piecemealed work. We'll see. So I'm not entirely sure how much I would be asking for. But I think businesses with incomes under 500,000, which is the category I fall into with Fair West Work, they have their own criteria, or maybe they have their own consideration, and then that's separate from businesses between 500,000 and $1 million or 2 million. I forget. Those are considered medium. So I'm not just small. I am tiny. We'll see how that works with regards to the application. So that's what I'll do tonight. I'll read the recs, take some notes, start my application, and that's a day of Fair West Work.